What's happening around the world?
And what's happening here at home. A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News, coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Bringing you the news, I'm Mariam Gunavijaya.
I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
SJB leader is protecting thieves. A statement from Minister Bimal Ratnayaka.
මේ පට්ට හොරු රකින්න ගම යෝහිත නාමල් අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීම වෙනුවෙන් කඩේ යන සජිත්ලා රාජපක්ෂගේ ගෙදර පරිස්සම් කරන්න ජනතා මුදල් නාස්ති කරන ඒ වෙනුවෙන් කඩේ යන සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාසලා කන්ටේනර් 323 ගැන පැමිණිලි කරනවා.
Western Province Governor requests CID investigation into false container allegations. Former Ministry Secretary Priyantha Mayadunna to court over cooperative fund misuse. Auditor General stresses the need for strengthening laws and regulations. No one believed to have survived after mid-air collision between American Airlines jet and Army helicopter.
In a top story for tonight, Minister Bimal Ratnayaka stated today that the opposition is making false accusations against the government to protect thieves. During a morning inspection tour at the National Transport Medical Institute in Nugegoda, the minister addressed the allegations against the government regarding the release of 323 containers without inspection.
Against a backdrop where several delays were reported in the inspection and release of containers, a customs trade union recently convened a media briefing and said that 323 containers have been released without being inspected. Following this statement, the Samagi Jana Balawegya, the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and several other fractions accused the governor of the Western Province, Hanif Yusuf, of being involved in getting the containers released to one of his companies. Responding to these allegations yesterday, Governor of the Western Province, Hanif Yusuf, said that no containers have been released from the port, neither to him nor a company of his. The governor stressed that these accusations were levelled against him for political reasons. Meanwhile, the company that the opposition accused to have been involved in this matter also released a statement regarding this incident and clarified that the company operates solely as a freight and logistics service provider and not as an importer. The company further stated that neither it nor its subsidiaries were involved in providing freight, logistics or customs clearance services for the containers in question.
Now
thieves from both sides have come together. It's very clear, like Daisy Auntie's bag of gems. These are things the country knows. For 10 years, Yoshita Rajapaksa was not even named as an accused. Then there's Namal's famous SMS about the Krish deal. Even though there were charges against Namal, they didn't hold. While protecting thieves, they tell us that the Customs Department released 323 containers without inspection, claiming there was gold and other items inside. If that was the case, they should have filed complaints. We know clearly that the officers of the Customs Department acted within their legal powers. Meanwhile, they have completely slandered Governor Hanif Yusuf. The Customs Department has issued a statement saying that there is no connection between Governor Hanif Yusuf and any of the containers. We now challenge Sajid Premadasa of the Samagi Jana Balawegya to file proper complaints if his MPs are making accusations against Governor Hanif Yusuf. We challenge Sajid Premadasa and the SLPP group who held a press conference to make these accusations. I also know that some YouTubers work for money. I don't know which YouTubers, but I tell them to provide the data. Don't play games with this in January. This is a government that people have built with great difficulty over 100 years. We don't know the value of these smuggled goods. Who else does? Sajid knows the value of this public trust. Are we to protect thieves? Do we release containers without inspection? While protecting these notorious thieves, Sajid Premadasa and his group are wasting public funds to protect the Rajapaksa household. They are also making complaints about 323 containers. We say, either provide the evidence or stop making baseless accusations. They say this was evident on social media. We say come straight, say it direct. Don't hide behind your followers. Come forward and say that it was in the containers. We know that every customs department in the world has various shortcomings and frauds. It's no different in Sri Lanka. Recently, Sajid's parliamentarian Sujiva Senasinghe has been accused of vehicle fraud. Then there's Johnston Fernando. Where did those vehicles come from? How did the stolen BMWs from England get here? Through the port and customs. We say come straight. Don't hide and protect thieves. From the e-ticket fraud to three-wheel drivers to the corrupt Rajapaksas, we will investigate and clean it all up. We don't like these false accusations that protect thieves. Sajid Premadasa should say whether he is with Ranil or Mahinda, or are they both the same? Or is he with the people? We work according to this public trust. We will solve the port issue. There are no magic answers to some problems. They will be solved very quickly.
Western Province Governor Hanif Yusuf filed a complaint with the Criminal Investigation Department today, requesting a formal investigation into this matter.
Last few days, I've been bombarded with untruth, malicious social media statements by politicians who have not been elected by the people. I watched the situation, and as I could not bear this anymore, as I've come with only one intent, to serve the people. I'm no politician, but I'm here to serve. And because of these allegations, which are totally fabricated, I went to CID today and made a complaint. I wish the CID would investigate this speedily and clear my name and bring sanity back to what it was before. I want to repeat, I'm here to serve. I'm here to do the right things. I want to make Western Province a clean, safe, efficient province. And I need all the strength that all of you can give me. Thank you so much.
3 trade unions representing the Customs Trade Union Alliance held a media briefing to clarify this issue.
We need to clearly state that certain individuals and groups are trying to add a political dimension to this issue, deviating from the objective we raised. It is apparent to us that various parties are making various attempts to create an unnecessary rift between us and the government. Therefore, we want to clearly state that as a trade union movement, we are not ready to fall into the traps of lies, because as a state service trade union movement, we work in cooperation with the existing government. We have been very clearly informed by the government that a very impartial investigation is being conducted regarding these matters, and we have the confidence that the investigation will be conducted very quickly, and this assurance has been given to us by the government. Therefore, with the full faith in the government's actions, if any party is working to create an unnecessary misunderstanding between the customs trade unions and the government regarding this matter, we will not allow that misunderstanding to happen.
අපි ඒ අනවබෝධය ඇති වෙන්න ඉඩ තියන්නේ නැහැ.
මේ තෝරන එල්ලෙනවා බස්නාහිර පළාත් ආණ්ඩුකාරවරයාගේ අයත් කන්ටේනර් තමයි මෙහෙම නිදහස් කරලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා. ඇත්තටම ඔහුගේ කන්ටේනර් මෙතන තිබිලා නැද්ද?
ශ්‍රී ලංකා රේගුවේ පරිගණක දත්ත පද්ධතිය ඔස්සේ අපි ලබාගත්
Based on the information we obtained through the Sri Lanka Customs database system, this is an unfair accusation. According to the documents we have, it is imported cargo belonging to various parties that has been released in this manner. There are various parties here. I think this is nearly 300 containers belonging to one party. Never in the history of customs has such a huge amount of containers belonging to one person arrived in Sri Lanka. That is a lie, if someone says so.
In news-making headlines tonight, former Ministry Secretary Priyanth Mayadune, who was taken into custody, has been released on bail. The order was made when he was produced before the Colombo magistrate Nilupalli Lankapura this afternoon.
Priyanth Mayadune was arrested in Piliyandala today in connection with investigations into misappropriation of 183 million rupees from the cooperative fund in 2011. The funds were allegedly taken for the Sirasa Cooperative Day celebration held in Kurunegala. According to the police, the findings of these investigations have been referred to the Attorney General by the Criminal Investigation Department. Subsequently, the Attorney General's department informed the CID that there was sufficient evidence to file charges against Priyanth Mayadune, who served as the Additional Secretary of the Ministry of Cooperative and Internal Trade. As a result, he was taken into custody under Section 389 of the Penal Code, which pertains to misappropriation. After considering the presented facts, the magistrate determined that there were insufficient evidence to deny the suspect's bail request. Therefore, Mayadune was released on 2 surety bails of 200,000 rupees each. The magistrate also ordered that the case be called again on the 28th of May.
As investigations into fraud and corruption continue, efforts to form an alliance between opposition political parties have gained momentum. While the United National Party and the Samagi Chanabavege are engaged in discussions on one front, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party is also working to form an alliance with several other parties.
UNP General Secretary Tharathatha Kuwarala called on the Chief Prelate of the Malwatu chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Tibbatuave Sri Sumangala Theru today. During the visit, views were expressed on parties forming alliances.
මේ ගැන ගොඩාක් කතා කරා නෑ කම 2020 ඉඳලම මේ දේ මම නම් ඈත ඉඳලම දැක්කා. හැබැයි ඉතින් පොඩ්ඩක් අර දෙපැත්තෙම පොඩි අඩුපාඩුකම් වුණා නෑ. ඒක වැරද්දක් නෙමෙයි කාර්යවල. තනි කක්ෂයක් හැටියට තිබිච්ච එකක් නේ අපි දෙපැත්තට උනේ.
මේකට විතරක් වෙච්ච දෙකුත් නෙමෙයි බලන්න ශ්‍රී ලංකා පක්ෂෙත් අතරට තුනට කොහෙද ගෙලි පොට්ටුවක් තිබුණා.
Later, the UNP General Secretary responded to questions raised by journalists.
එකත්තර ගොඩක් කට්ටිය පොර කනවා අපි දැක්කා. ඉතින් මේ පාරත් ඔය එකතු වීම තුළ නායකත්වයේ කියන මාතෘකාව ඉස්මතු වෙයිද?
නෑ අනිවාර්යෙන්ම නෑ. නායකත්වයන්
Definitely not. Leadership can be sorted out later. Currently, we are talking about another part of the United National Party itself. The Samagi Janabalawege is a party that broke away from the United National Party. Both parties have two leaders. There is still time for that topic. Not all problems can be solved at once. We are trying our best to make this a start. When such issues arise in the future, we will have the necessary discussions.
ඒ වගේ ගැටලු මතුවෙනකොට ඒ සඳහා අවශ්‍ය කතා බහවල් අපි කරනවා.
පක්ෂ දෙක එකතු වුණාම අනිවාර්යෙන් නායකත්වයක් අවශ්‍යයි. රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහතා කැමති වෙයිද මේකට?
ඒක තාම කතා කරලා නැහැනේ අපි.
That has not been discussed yet. It is not necessary to discuss that now. Our party leader Ranil Wickremesinghe has thought about this very positively and he has given us the full blessings we need for this effort. Lasantha Lagiyavanna clarified matters on forming an alliance called the Podujana Eksath Peramuna, led by the Sri Lanka Freedom Party in Nittambua today.
We have successfully implemented the program after discussions with several parties and organizations to contest the upcoming local government elections and all future elections under the leadership of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party from the chair symbol. There is a leading alliance with two main alliances of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, the chair symbol and the beetle leaf symbol. All these groups are united under the chair symbol. There is a leadership board for this alliance. Currently, Anura Priyadarshana Yapa serves as a leader of this leadership board, and I am acting as a secretary. What sets this alliance apart from other political alliances is that it is specifically formed by a leadership board. Nearly 30 MPs who represented the SLPP are currently involved in this alliance.
A discussion took place today in Colombo between former President Ranil Wickremesinghe and the group that contested the recent election under the cylinder symbol.
The discussion that took place focused on the current situation, with MPs representing different parties in attendance. The actions taken by the government and how we will face them were discussed. As politicians, we exchanged ideas ahead of an election. We spoke on various matters. It was such a discussion.
දේශපාලනය කරපු අපි හැමෝම විවිධ අවස්ථාවල තමන්ගේ අදහස් කොමාරු කර ගන්නවා විවිධ කාරණා ගැන. ඒ වගේ සාකච්ඡාවක් මේ තිබුණා.
There was no such demands. He acted as a convener. He didn't demand anything. We discussed about the current situation.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
International Edu Expo with EdLocate on the 1st and 2nd February. Call us to register.
International Edu Expo organized by EdLocate on 1st February 2025 at the Taj Samudra and on the 2nd of February at the Kandy City Centre Banquet Hall. Call our hotline to register for the event.
As the local government elections approach, political parties are discussing on working together. But what has happened to the village during this period? Let's take a look.
What happened to the village? This is the bridge to Buvalikanda Sri Padnyaratna Mahavidyalaya in Galioya. Construction of the dilapidated bridge began in 2023 with a grand ceremony. The estimated cost is 78.6 million rupees. 3 years have passed since the work started, yet only the foundation stone has been laid.
මෙතන මේ ඉස්කෝලේට එන ළමයිගේ 1200ක් පමණ මේ ළමයිගේ ජීවිත අනුතරය හෙළමින් මෙතන උත්සව තියලා පටන් අරගෙන දැන් අද මේ විනාශලා යන්නේ මහ ජනතාවගේ අපි මේ ගෙවන බදු මුදල් වලින් අපේ මේ ගෙවන රුපියල පවා එකතු කරගෙන මේ මිනිස්සු කරපුවෙන් දැන් බලන්න මේ කොච්චරනම් විනාශයක්ද මේ මිනිස්සු කරලා දෙන්නේ
කෝටි ගාණක් මුදල් වියදම් කරලා එක රුපියලකින්වත් වැඩක් නැති ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකක් පටන් ගන්න මේගොල්ලෝ විනාශ කරලා දැන් පැත්ත පළාතේ ඉන්න කොහොම විනාශ වෙලා ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ කිසිම ප්‍රයෝජනයක් නැහැ.
Where has the allocated money gone? Shouldn't we prioritize the safety of our children and complete this bridge quickly? What happened to the village?
No matter how much we talk about development, for some villagers it remains a distant dream. As the world rapidly advances with new technology, can these villagers keep up with bullock carts?
In Trincomalee Muthunagar, people are still living in the age of bullock carts. With limited facilities, these people endure endless hardships. For everything, they have to go to Kappalture, the neighboring village. Schools and hospitals are also located there. If they travel by road, it's more than 10 kilometers. Though the journey is difficult, if they cross the crocodile-infested lagoon, it's only 2 kilometers. These people are asking for a simple footpath or a proper cart road and a bridge to cross the lagoon.
Kappalture Muthunagar ප්‍රදේශයේ සියලු දෙනාම බොහොම අමාරුවෙන් මේකේ යන එන බොහොම අමාරුවෙන් ජීවත් වෙනවා. හිඹලා තියෙනවා. සමහර කඩියට හිඹලා කපලා තියෙනවා. ඒ තුවාල වෙලා හොස්පිටල් එකට තරන් ගිහලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මේ පාලම හදලා දුන්නොත් මිනිස්සුන්ට යන්න යන්න හොඳයි කියලා අපි හිතනවා.
Gammadda door to door.
News first with the people.
This Lit Fest, let's make it count. Field dreams change the future for hundreds of students at the Sri Gunananda School in Udugama Gaul. Drop your books at the Gammadda Book Drive. Let's turn the page together from the 6th to the 9th of February, the Gammadda Give a Book project at the Gaul Lit Fest.
International Edu Expo organized by Edlocate on 1st February 2025 at the Taj Samudra and on the 2nd of February at the Kandy City Centre Banquet Hall. Call our hotline to register for the event.
In some developing news, rescuers are searching for survivors in the frigid waters of Potomac River after an American Airlines plane collided mid-air with a military helicopter near the Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport outside of Washington, D.C. Police said the multiple agencies were involved in the search and rescue operations in the river, which borders the airport, but there was no immediate word on casualties. Washington, D.C. Fire Chief said that at least 300 first responders were involved in the highly complex rescue operation in the U.S. state of Virginia. At least 28 bodies have been recovered from Washington, D.C.'s Potomac River.
The fatal mid-air collision that took place in Washington, D.C.'s Reagan International Airport is a safety concern that the senators of the Democrats representing Washington, D.C. area were concerned about. Now, the senators had warned that increasing the number of flights in this airport could risk the safety concerns and the congestion risks in the airport. Concerns now underscored as Wednesday's deadly air collision at the airport is raising risks of operations and scrutiny in the crowded airspace.
25, CRJ in sight. At 25, pathfinder CRJ.
65 has a aircraft in sight, press separation.
Separate. 472 Washington Tower, 1 star, 32017.
A massive search operation is underway after a passenger aircraft carrying 64 people collided mid-air with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter near Reagan Airport outside of Washington, D.C. About 300 first responders are searching the freezing Potomac River where the aircraft crashed. Fatalities have been confirmed and rescuers have not yet pulled any survivors from the water. CNN says the plane is in pieces in the water and the helicopter is in the water nearby. The plane, American Airlines Flight 5342, with 60 passengers and 4 crew members on board, had departed from Wichita, Kansas. The Canadian-made Bombardier CRJ-701 twin-engine jet was manufactured in 2004 and can be configured to carry up to 70 passengers. 3 soldiers were on board the helicopter, which was on the training flight. Dramatic video footage from the Earth Cam set up at the Kennedy Center appeared to capture the moment when a regional passenger jet and an Army helicopter collided in a fireball last night by Ronald Reagan National Airport near Washington. The video shows 2 sets of aircraft lights converging before erupting in flames over the Potomac River. The Russian ice skating coaches and former world champions Evgenia Shishkanova and Vadim Naumov were on board the American Airlines plane that crashed into the Potomac River near Washington, D.C. Shishkanova and Naumov, who were married, won the World Championship in pairs figure skating in 1994 and lived in the United States, where they trained young ice skaters. Russia's news agencies reported their son Maxim was also feared to have been on board the plane. He had been competing at the U.S. Figure Skating Championships in Wichita, Kansas, according to the event's website. President Donald Trump said early this morning that the mid-air collision between a U.S. Army helicopter and American Airlines passenger plane was a quote-unquote bad situation that looks like it should have been prevented. Trump wrote on his Truth Social platform, quote, "The airplane was on a perfect and routine line of approach to the airport. The helicopter was going straight at the airplane for an extended period of time. It is a clear night. The lights on the plane were blazing. Why didn't the helicopter go up or down or turn? Why didn't the control tower tell the helicopter what to do instead of asking if they saw the plane?" End quote. Quote, "This is a bad situation that looks like it should have been prevented. Not good." End quote. The president continued. It was not immediately clear whether Trump's post was based on information on which he had been officially briefed. The aircraft involved in a collision near Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. yesterday have been identified as a Canada Air Regional Jet 700 operated by American Airlines subsidiary PSA Airlines and a U.S. Army UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter. The Canada Air Regional Jet 700 or CRJ-700 was built in Canada by Bombardier. The single-aisle aircraft can seat between 68 and 78 passengers. The American Airlines website says its CRJ-700 seats 65 people in 3 classes. The CRJ-700 is powered by 2 jet engines mounted on the rear of the aircraft. The CRJ-700 series first flew in 1999, with production of the jet ending in 2020. The aircraft affected, tail number N709PS, was built in 2004, according to FAA records. The U.S. Army UH-60 Black Hawk is built by Sikorsky Aircraft, part of defense giant Lockheed Martin. It's powered by twin turbine engines and can carry up to 12 troops in a combat configuration, according to the manufacturer. Lockheed Martin says more than 5,000 Black Hawks are in service across the U.S. military branches, with 35 other nations around the world. This collision between this passenger airplane and the helicopter in D.C. is a reminiscent of a similar incident that occurred 43 years ago. On the 13th of January 1982, an Air Florida Flight 90 departing Washington National Airport for Fort Lauderdale struck the 14th Street Bridge before crashing into the thin ice-capped Potomac River shortly after takeoff. There were 70 passengers and 4 crew on board. All of them died, along with 4 people in vehicles on the bridge.
International Edu Expo, organized by EdLocate on 1st February 2025 at the Taj Samudra and on the 2nd of February at the Kandy City Centre Banquet Hall. Call our hotline to register for the event.
Welcome back. Continuing in more local news, discussions were held at the meeting of the Committee on Public Finance regarding the granting of the Auditor General the power to impose surcharges to recover losses caused to the government and amending the Audit Act.
Based on the system in our country, there are about 1,980 institutions that must be audited. According to the Audit Act and the Constitution, all of these institutions must be audited by the Auditor General. This is difficult to do practically. There is also a deadline for the audits to be completed. The audit report must be presented 3 months after receiving the financial statements. The working report should be submitted to Parliament. This does not happen practically. Several other amendments have also been proposed to the Audit Act. The IMF has also contributed to this. The provisions relating to granting the Auditor General the power to impose surcharges. There are various discussions ongoing regarding if it would be fair to grant the Auditor General the power to impose a surcharge after having prepared the report. But at Customs, they can impose a surcharge, and they are the ones who investigate as well. I don't understand why these matters related to natural justice are brought forward when speaking about the Auditor General alone.
We saw discussions being held last year in the Committee of Public Finance as well as regarding implementing these for about 10 years. Isn't there a mechanism like that?
We still do not have a mechanism like that. That is the sad part here. The IMF had held discussions with the Auditor General previously. They asked me what is the effectiveness of implementing these recommendations. I had to inform them that 95% of these recommendations are not implemented. That is the reason why even the general public is of the opinion that all of these matters are only limited to discussions. We present these reports and then they are tabled in Parliament. The reports are forwarded to the relevant institutions. The law states that those institutions must report back to the Auditor General on the progress of implementing these recommendations. These two committees present reports to Parliament, then these matters are debated in Parliament and those are forwarded to the relevant institutions. The standing orders state that the relevant minister and the finance minister must report back to Parliament within 8 weeks on the steps being taken regarding the recommendations. There is no mechanism in Parliament to review if those recommendations were implemented. One is to grant the power to impose a surcharge that will create some sense among state officials against causing losses to the government. The Auditor General will issue the surcharge certificate to the relevant individual. It doesn't matter if there were local government members or not. The surcharge certificate can be issued through the existing commissioner.
Takafumi Kadono, the ADB Director for Sri Lanka, highlighted the need for consistent and favourable policies to ensure investor confidence even amidst changing administrations. He was speaking at the Sri Lanka Economic Summit in Colombo.
So you want to make sure that the policies don't change over those time. And of course, you don't need to have a tax holiday throughout the entire time, but you need to be able to make investment decisions, assuming or being confident that these policies don't change. Because even if you have a favorable regime presented to you, if you're not certain that the next government or even during the same administration, this will be turned around, who wants to invest? So you need to make sure that Sri Lanka stands out as a favorable investment destination. The macroeconomic political stability is important, but these policy certainties are definitely crucial. And for that, the public sector reforms that you mentioned are also critical. So these are the things that has to be done. So again, case by case, like I said, with the targeted industrial policy, I mean, it could be good, it could be bad, depending on how you do it, right? And the private sector are very responsible. In the importing countries too, they want green, clean, responsible production as well, the entire value chain and the traceability, etc. So it's becoming a much more challenging or demanding environment for Sri Lanka to, start this export-oriented industrialization, but at the same time, as many of you have mentioned, it is an opportunity as well. Right? So if Sri Lanka makes the right policies, bold decisions, and move forward, maybe there will be companies and investors out there who will see the opportunities that they can grasp in Sri Lanka. With respect to the power sector, yes, that's one of the areas where we are providing support for sector reform.
Compensation for farmers whose crops were damaged due to the floods of November last year will begin today.
The Agricultural and Agrarian Insurance Board said that compensation will be paid to farmers in the Polonnaruwa, Mullaitivu, Vaunia and Trincomalee districts. A total of 6,234 farmers whose crops were damaged by the floods will receive compensation. The government has allocated 166.7 million rupees for the initiative. The compensation will cover a total of 13,379 acres of land. Senior Tamil politician and the leader of the Ilangai Tamilarasa Katchi, Mave Sirasa, has passed away at the age of 83. His remains has been placed at his residence in Mavadipuram, Jaffna, to allow the public to pay their final respects. Mave Sirasa passed away yesterday while receiving treatment at the Jaffna hospital. The veteran politician was admitted to the emergency treatment unit of the Jaffna Teaching Hospital due to an accident that occurred at his home. He was 83 years old at the time of his demise. Born on the 27th of October in 1942 in Mavatapuram, Jaffna, Mave Sirasa received his primary education from Nadeswara College in Jaffna. He completed his higher education at the University of Peradeniya. He joined the youth wing of ITAC, the Tamil Youth League, in 1962 and became secretary of the Tamil Youth Front, the youth wing of the Tamil United Liberation Front, in 1972. Sirasa contested the 2001 parliamentary election as one of TNA's candidates in the Jaffna district. He was elected and re-entered Parliament and was also re-elected at the 2004, 2010 and 2015 parliamentary elections. He also served as the General Secretary of ITAC before being elected leader of ITAC in September 2014. He stepped down from ITAC leadership in January 2024 due to poor health conditions.
The Vaughan Muthuridharan Trophy Test series between Sri Lanka and Australia continues, with Sri Lanka at 44 for 3 in their first innings at the end of day 2.
Resuming their first innings on the second day, Australia was at 330 runs for the loss of 2 wickets. A key feature of Australia's strong performance was a 266-run partnership between Steve Smith and Usman Khawaja for the 3rd wicket. This 266-run stand between Smith and Khawaja also represents the highest 3rd wicket partnership for Australia against Sri Lanka. Captain Steve Smith scored 141 runs. Usman Khawaja was the star performer of the day at Galle, scoring his maiden double century in Test cricket. Josh Inglis provided valuable support to Khawaja, contributing to a 146-run partnership for the 4th wicket. Khawaja scored 232 runs. Making his Test debut, Josh Inglis scored his maiden Test century. Alex Carey was unbeaten on 46. Jeffrey Vandersay and Prabhat Jayasuriya took 3 wickets each. Australia declared their innings at 654 runs for the fall of 6 wickets. Sri Lanka's reply innings was opened by Oshada Fernando and Dimuth Karunaratne. The Australian bowlers managed a quick 3 wickets, leaving Sri Lanka at 30 for 3. Oshada Fernando, Dimuth Karunaratne and Angelo Matthews each contributed 7 runs to Sri Lanka's total. This leaves Sri Lanka trailing by 610 runs with 7 wickets in hand.
AC Milan is a prestigious Italian professional football club based in Milan. Founded on the 18th of December in 1899, the club has a rich history and is one of the most successful football clubs in the world. And the club today announced the arrival of the Milan Junior Camp project in Sri Lanka, which will make stops in the cities of Colombo, Galle and Jaffna at the beginning of next month.
The Milan Junior Camp project in Sri Lanka by AC Milan is the first of its kind in Sri Lanka and has been made possible through a partnership with the Academy of Colombo Athletic and Football Club. It represents a significant step in the global development of the Milan Junior Camp project, following a summer that saw the initiative also start in 23 cities across North America and Europe. The Milan Junior Camp project in Sri Lanka will make stops in the cities of Colombo, Galle and Jaffna at the beginning of next month.
We all know that AC Milan represent an heritage in the world of football. Very proud to be here to have the possibility to bring my experience and the experience of a club that have hundreds of years in football with incredible successes in the past and hopefully in the future too. Starting from the work with the coaches, starting from the organization of the first activity here in Colombo, moving up north to Jaffna and after back south on Galle. The idea is to develop the most successful activity for Sri Lanka football, considering the passion that people here have for the game and for the interest that we are already receiving in our first activity. We have a lot of subscribers for the first week that we're going to do in Colombo. The numbers are growing everywhere we promote our activity. First of all, thanks to the organization of the partner that we work with, and second, because we are pretty sure that we can improve and bring a new way to approach football with the most modern knowledge that this field has. AC Milan represent an excellent possibility for the football here and for the children and the players that are going to join us to experience the best way to improve their skills and their knowledge of the game. And hopefully this is a long-term plan, and the possibility that we start today here is going to be for the next years one of the milestone of the new football area in Sri Lanka.
I stand here completely in gratitude with my partners Fauzal and Trevor, with whom we started this journey a year ago. And I think it was a far-fetched dream at that time to bring AC Milan and be, and try to change the landscape of the sport in Sri Lanka. But now I think as dreams come true, if you can dream big, it can happen. And I think we are here now, and this is what we were waiting for. And I'm hoping that this will make positive impact in changing the landscape of football.
I'm here because sport and football in particular is part of the Italian way of life. Italy, everybody has a preferred football team. Every week in Italy, we discuss in bars, restaurants, and even families about what happened in the matches of last weekend and what will happen in the football matches of next weekend. And part of this, one of the components of this initiative is AC Milan. And AC Milan is one of the most popular and famous Italian football teams. They are actually colleagues. I mean, we can say that AC Milan is an ambassador of Italy worldwide. And this is the reason I'm here. Italy and Sri Lanka have a long tradition of friendship and good relationship. This is not cultivated only in the contacts and activities ongoing at governmental level. This is something which is created also at what we call people-to-people level. So the initiatives and the interactions between the Sri Lankan diaspora in Italy and the here and the local and the Italians who are living locally, starting their networking with Italy and back and forth. So I'm here because I'm really convinced that also through this initiative, we are building up an additional strong bond between our two countries.
The Colombo Athletic and Football Club has partnered with many brands, including Fox Jaffna. The program will involve young athletes, both boys and girls, aged between 5 and 17, and will begin on the 31st of January 2025. The initiative will kick off with a workshop for local coaches and stakeholders who will receive specific and tailored technical training with the support of the club's expertise.
And with that, we wrap up news for tonight.
Thank you very much for joining us. Good night and take care.